All right, let's start then. So a very warm welcome on this, at least for me, very sunny day. You cannot see it because of the background, but I was enjoying a look at the sun today already. And today we're here to give you a little sneak preview on what we're going to talk about at the summit. And this session is called Technologies that Shape Evolution. And I'm pretty sure, as you all know, technical evolution is running really, really fast. And for me, no day has passed that I didn't see an article on ChatGPT or an amazing video what robotics can do nowadays. So this is why we decided to have this session, Disruptive Tech and Trends, on the summit, where we will have different people presenting on the very smoking hot trends that are going on. And at the summit, you will learn how FIWARE is positioned to this. And today, we want to give you a little sneak peek on topics that we will have in the session Disruptive Tech and Trends, which are data spaces, robotics, digital twins, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And we already had one session talking a bit about data spaces, which is, a very growing topic. And we're trying to build data space. We're trying to drive this, and one of the very driving forces at FIWARE is our CTO Juanjo Hierro, and he has been with FIWARE since 2017, but he has been in contact with FIWARE long before that, and he is a true expert for data spaces. So Juanjo, would you like to share your screen?
Okay, thank you, Vera. Let me just share the screen. Yeah, okay. I hope this works and that you are seeing now my slides and putting them in full presentation mode. Are you seeing the slide? Can someone confirm?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, as Vera has mentioned, we are going to talk to you about the disruptive tech and trends, the different sessions that are composing this track, which is the track within the FIWARE Global Summit program that will bring attendees the opportunity to learn about what we are doing in different technological roadmap areas, areas such as data spaces, robotics, digital twins, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. All of them somehow shaping the way FIWARE is evolving. So definitely the kind of sessions you should attend if you want to learn more about what FIWARE will deliver from a technical perspective in all these areas. I'm going to talk about the session of data spaces. Some of my colleagues will be talking about the other sessions within this track. And the session and why FIWARE and data spaces in the first place, the question to answer is, well, you know that FIWARE mission is to build a sustainable ecosystem around the creation of standards, open software standards that will ease the development of smart solutions in multiple sectors. We are following in that regards and implementation-driven approach with FIWARE. And through that approach, we have been, among other things, pushing the definition of standards that are currently being adopted with regards to management of digital twin data, how to break information silos, and transform organizations into smart organizations. That is something in which FIWARE is considered almost a de facto standard when we talk about smart cities, but is something that we are also doing in other sectors, talking about mobility, destination, ports, water, energy, and so on. Data spaces, in a way, become as the next natural step in digitization of these organizations that have become smart thanks to the adoption of FIWARE technology, and now are facing the challenge how to exchange data with other organizations within the digital realm, and how such exchange of digital twin data can be performed in an effective and trusted manner. In that sense, a data space can be defined as an ecosystem built around a common set of building blocks, enabling such effective and trusted share of data among participants. Well, this is an area where we have been working and over the last 2 years, and actually in doing what we know better, which is making things happen. So if we consider all these set of building blocks, particularly the technology building blocks that are required for data spaces, you may know that we need to put in place a number of building blocks that have to do with how to achieve the actual data interoperability among participants, how to make sure that they speak the same language. We need also building blocks that will solve how to deal with implementation of trust among those participants, how to implement the concept of identity and access management, and last but not least, how you may monetize the services, because one of the ultimate goals of any data space would be that of creating value out of those data exchanges. And we, over the last 2 years, have been very active as a FIWARE community in making these building blocks get materialized with concrete technology, concrete components. We have been working, as you may know, in the data interoperability pillar, covering and bringing on the table the API that is now getting more and more adopted as basis for the exchange of digital twin data, that is NGSI-LD API. We have been working on something that is crucial in data spaces, like the definition of data models with the Smart Data Models Initiative. We are working with organizations like Alastria in setting up the components and defining the components that may help to trace transactions and then get them locked in blockchains to ensure traceability and transparency. Regarding the pillar of data sovereignty and trust, we have been working during the last 2 years very intensively in programs like collaboration programs like IFOTrust with iShare, in implementing the support to trust services, and very recently the support to the implementation of most recent standards, like coming from W3C, like decentralized identifiers, verified credentials, and the corresponding exchange protocols coming from OpenID Connect family of protocols, like CF version 2 OpenID Connect for verified presentations. All these elements, together with components implementing data value creation, are what are starting to make data spaces tangible. And we are going to talk about all that in this session about data spaces. One main activity that is centering our focus is the collaboration with the other organizations that are big players in this field. We are talking about the Big Data Value Association. We are talking about GaiaX, the International Data Spaces. The four associations, we joined forces under the Data Space Business Alliance. We produced a first release of a document that is the technical convergence discussion document, where we started to come into an agreement what should be the standards to be adopted to cover all these building blocks that are necessary to support for data spaces. And one of the things that we are going to bring information about in this session is what has been the progress within this technical convergence activity. We are about to release a new version of the technical convergence discussion document. This will happen probably this week, but during the session at the summit, we will have the opportunity of going into the details of been achieved, what concrete standards have been finally adopted, how we have agreed on the conceptual model that is behind data spaces, and so on. This is the essentially the contents of the session that we have prepared, and that is full of content which will give you all the details and insights. What is the path that we are taking in this area? We will start with an introduction. Where we will, of course, bring in our overall vision and perspective on data spaces. We will bring this update about the status of the Data Space Business Alliance activities, as I mentioned to you. And we will start talking about something that is going to be, I think, quite interesting, which is the idea of building the notion of a FIWARE data space connector. I think the FIWARE community is in a privileged position to bring in the market very soon, before the summer, the concept of a first data space connector that complies with the Data Space Business Alliance recommendations, and we are going to talk about that during the session. We will have a presentation by Clara, our VP on funded programs at the FIWARE Foundation, talking about data spaces in the Digital Europe program. We will talk about our presence in different coordination support actions and projects like DOM and so on, which will give insights about the opportunities to influence and drive decisions within this important program by the European Union. Following this, we will have a couple of presentations that will go diving deep into technical details about the framework and the standards we are proposing for data spaces. We will have a concrete presentation very much focused on the decentralized trust services and identity and access management framework that we are advocating for in FIWARE, which is fully aligned with the Data Space Business Alliance recommendations, and also fully aligned with very recent recommendations published by the European Commission, like the European Union Digital Identity Wallet architecture and reference framework. That will be carried out by Jesus Ruiz, who is leading the blockchain and identity and access management activities within the FIWARE Foundation CTO team. Also, he is a co-chair of the GaiaX group on credentials and identity and access management. Following that, we will tackle the perspective and roadmap activities regarding monetization and marketplace services, an essential element in data spaces, which go beyond what has been defined in IDSA or GaiaX, but is truly necessary to implement data spaces where value creation is a core element. That would be a presentation most probably being done by me. And then we will have several really great speakers that will tackle other elements that will be very important input for the discussion and the evolution being considered. So one of these presentations will be made by Erno Kovacs on the Japan-EU collaboration on data spaces. There will be a presentation made by Giovanni Rimassa, the CIO of Martel Innovation, about one of the components we expect to integrate in this concept of the data space connector I was talking about before. Like could be what we have developed as Anubis and Amon Technologies. There will be a presentation of several use cases. There will be a presentation from Amazon Web Services and on data spaces and what they are doing together with us, and maybe some additional presentations focused on use cases. That would be overall the content of the session. Full of technical details, but also full of testimonies about how these technologies are being used to solve concrete use cases based on these data space concepts. So all in all, I think quite thrilling session that where everyone that is interested in data spaces for sure will find interesting content to listen to. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
with this, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, passing the token over to you again.
Okay, thank you very much. So as you heard, this is going to be a very interesting session, really packed with a lot of interesting speakers. And of course, it's not just about listening and learning them from the presentations, but also to exchange and learn how the data spaces work, how the experience of people, what they've done with it. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting session. Thank you very much. But also another interesting topic, and which we are confronted with a lot, is how digital twins and cloud-to-edge continuum can be implemented with FIWARE components. And for this, I may introduce you to one of our members of the FIWARE Technical Steering Committee. His name is Martin Bauer from NEC. He's at the beautiful city of Heidelberg. Hello. And
Hello.
He's one of our experts for digital twins. So, Martin, what can we expect?
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So I guess everybody has heard about digital twins, but it may not exactly be clear what they are and why they are important and how they can be used, especially in the FIWARE setting. And thus, we have a special session at the FIWARE Summit. And today I'm giving you a bit of a glimpse on digital twins. So digital twins are a digital representation of a real-world asset characterized by attributes, which can be properties, or can be relationships to other digital twins. And with that, we have an abstraction, basically. We digitally model the world as we perceive it, and thus we allow the digital world to work with the same kind of concepts as we humans do. And by that we can develop nice smart solution. And so these digital twins basically provide the cornerstone for the development of these solutions. And what we need is a standard API for getting access to that data, and we need common data models. But let's look a bit more. How really do these digital twins help us in developing solutions? So with that, digital twins as an abstraction, we have an integration approach at multiple levels. So we can, on a lower level, build a single smart solution. So be it for a building or for energy setup. So that's already quite nice. But in the long run, we want that we don't have just isolated single solutions, but we want to integrate them. So we can go to the next level and basically create a system of systems, and then also have the digital twin as a core for integrating. So, for example, have energy not just for building, but maybe for a whole neighborhood. Maybe they produce and use energy in the future. And we can go even a step further, doing this across organization data spaces, as we just heard from Juanjo. So we may have whole smart cities, logistics, and smart grids, and digital twins providing a nice high-level abstraction that allow us to integrate that. Now, what's the basis basically for modeling digital twin? So in FIWARE, we have a clear answer for that. That's NGSI, and in its latest version, NGSI-LD. NGSI-LD is specified by the industry specification group on context information management in ETSI. So NGSI-LD provides an information model. As we said before, we have the digital twins. They have the properties, they have relationships. And overall, as a result, we have a nice property graph model. We can nicely semantically define things, and we can link things together. That's an important conceptual basis for that. But having a model is one thing, but we need to be able to access this. And the NGSI-LD API provides us the possibility to specify what information we require. So we can basically have queries. Here we have some simple examples. So I know my entity, so I want to know what's the location of SAM, or which of these poles basically have cameras attached, or which cars are in a geographic area. And by that, we have, on a high abstraction level, easy access to that information. The other nice thing about NGSI-LD that we need for doing this type of integration is that we support central as well as distributed and federated architectures that allows us to not just have centralized smart solutions, but have actually solutions that work together. Now, we started with modeling. Basically, that's a descriptive capability. Of course, we need to build on that. We want predictive capabilities, not just what's right now, but what's going to happen in the near future. Maybe prospective capabilities where we look at, okay, under different circumstances, depending what's happening, what if this or that happens, what would we do, or prescriptive basically, so that we decide, okay, what should happen, maybe as a suggestion to human or fully automatic. So we have this type of decision support system. We also need, in some cases, to do diagnosis and so on. So this is a bit about digital twin as a teaser. And if you want to learn more about that, about this concept and what you can do with it, how you can model that with NGSI-LD, how you can use FIWARE components to implement the digital twin, and if you want to know more about different digital twin use cases, smart city, industry, linked open data, then come to the session. So I have a slightly preliminary program here. Start with an overview, the vision. Since NGSI-LD is at the core, we'll also give a roadmap and show basically how concepts from industry 4.0 can be modeled with NGSI-LD. We show integration of linked data with that, and we have a couple of different use cases where we show, okay, this is implemented based on digital twin in different scenarios and use cases. So I can hand back.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, I can just say, come and learn from each other. I think that's the best way to hear what people did, their experiences. And I think the summit would be just the right place to do that. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
And well, nowadays, there's also another topic revolutionizing industry, and this is robotics. As I mentioned before, you can see so many videos what robots can do nowadays. It's amazing. And with the robots also comes the demand of, well, making them more efficient, monitoring and analyzing them. And well, for this, we have an expert here, Francisco. And he has a position as a technical expert and evangelist for robotics with FIWARE. So very warm welcome. And I would like to hand over to you, and maybe you can enlighten us a bit how we can integrate the robotics and automated systems in FIWARE.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Vera. Yes, this is precisely what I am going to do. I am going to connect my presentation with what just Martin introduced. As you see here in my first slide, well, FIWARE has this strong focus on digital twin use cases. These digital twins, as digital representations of our assets, processes, and systems, are used for various purposes. This is the predictive digital twin that Martin mentioned, also this prescriptive, prospective, and in particular, when we add robotics to the digital twin as a way to actuate in the real world, we achieve this ability of being proactive. And this is what robotics is about in FIWARE. It's adding proactivity, the ability to transform the world as a skill of the digital twin. If we think of robotics are complex systems. We can talk about a myriad of sensors and actuators, but perhaps these three shapes are the easiest way to capture the essence of robotic systems. So we have mobile robots, which are typically used to transport things from one place to other. Then we have these industrial robots, robotic arms, which can do multiple operations for palletizing, welding, polishing, cutting, these kind of operations. And then we have some more modern robotics platform, which are this flying platform, also known as drones. They have opened a new dimension for the robotics application. Based on these core platforms, each domain is trying to optimize its operation. 2-3 particular domains are relevant to the FIWARE community. The first one is the intralogistics domain. This is particularly relevant, and I tell you why. It's because the type of robotics automation associated to intralogistics scenario is, I would say, the more widespread in connection with the digital twin technology, because the mobile robots are well accepted in the warehouse scenarios. These particular applications for smart warehousing, for implementing automation in the way that materials flow in the factory floor, or even how tools are given to an operator on demand, or how we can reshape the floor for different operations. These are the type of scenarios that robotics are dealing with. If we go to more ambitious applications, is where robots are able to interact with populated floors. So we have forklifts there, which can be hybrid or manually driven. The robots need to operate in a fully autonomous way, and we could even have the operators doing manual transportation tasks. So our digital twins in FIWARE aim to optimize this complex environment, being able to model the entire context, to apply all the technologies to understand situations and to support decision making in these intralogistics scenarios. The second domain is agile production, and in agile production is almost a specific dimension of the smart manufacturing domain. And we are dealing with problems of flexibilizing production while we keep control of the product quality and the costs. Also flexibilizing production models. So our factory is capable of seamlessly, this always have a huge cost, but at least reducing this cost of changing from mass production to small batches, even to create highly customized batches with multiple product variants, to being able to create lots of only one item and then move to a new product. These are the core topics, and one emerging one is this aim of improving working conditions with what is known in the robotics domain as the triple D. So making robots responsible for implementing dull, dirty, and dangerous tasks. So this is the context in agile production. And the third domain that is emerging in FIWARE as a core topic for robotics is the digital twins in connection with robotics in agriculture. This is emerging. I would say it's even more difficult than in manufacturing to connect digital twins with actual robots operating in agriculture, but we are starting to have in our community people which is implementing actual use cases on this. For sure, this will, in the short term, join agile production and logistics as a relevant FIWARE scenario for digital twins and robotics. Particular applications: automated harvesting, precision farming, self-driven tractors, or this kind of monitoring of the field and weeding, spraying operations. These are the core application scenarios we are dealing with. So this is an overview of the domain and where our FIWARE-based digital twins are operating. And what is exactly the role of FIWARE in here? Well, FIWARE is bridging the gap between these technologies, digital twin technologies and robotics technologies. And in here, we also need to include AI, machine learning, because it's the way to optimize this integration of digital twins with cyber physical systems as the robotic systems are. So key problems we are dealing with: abstracting the hardware to be able to operate with heterogeneous robot platforms, and offering standardized open interfaces so we can accelerate and lower the cost of the robotics deployments. We are also using these replicable digital twins to accelerate the testing of hypotheses, the validation of real-world robotics applications. And we are starting to, let's say, have all products around these twins for robotics in the manufacturing domain, with the typical application of manufacturing execution system. We are expanding it to the digital twin concept. We are connecting with AI-driven models for optimization, and we have a clear vision on this. And this is a relevant part of the session in robotics in the FIWARE Summit. We are also dealing with highly heterogeneous mobile robot fleets and how to orchestrate the intralogistics scenarios in a concept that is starting to be referred to as the fleet ops concept. We will talk about this. Then this concept of distributed intelligence for these proactive digital twins. These are the core topics we are dealing with. Emergent is this research on emerging models for advanced human-robot collaboration, and we are also entering in this topic. So perhaps some builds on what we are doing there could appear in the session. So in summary, the session on robotics will focus on how the FIWARE's technical roadmap on robotics is bridging the gap between digital twin and robotics technologies, and the presentations planned for the session will cover an introduction to the vision, the priorities of our technical roadmap, key design principles for FIWARE-based approaches to proactive digital twins, and here we will focus on the advanced manufacturing execution system and the smart fleet management, and then how to interface with some key enabling technologies of robotic systems. In particular, OPC-UA and ROS2 are some of these key enabling technologies. We will refer to other relevant technologies in the factory floor, but we have prioritized these two. And then in a wrap-up presentation of the session, we will summarize all the ideas, and we will give some insights on potential opportunities for collaboration in FIWARE-based robotics projects. In 2024, there are some interesting topics that the European Commission will fund for projects around robotics. We have explored them, and this will conclude the session. So this is more or less what you will find in our session for robotics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francisco. So you can already hear it's going to be a very, very interesting session at the summit. And I'm sure you already also have the chance to meet Francisco there and exchange ideas and experiences. And Francisco, you already mentioned one topic that we're going to discuss in the session as well, and this is artificial intelligence, which is also connected to robotics and also machine learning. And well, private people nowadays now from artificial intelligence, especially from GPT or the nice pictures we saw with the Pope wearing these big jackets. But with FIWARE members, I think for them it's more important to know how data works on their business using artificial intelligence and machine learning. And for this, I would like to welcome Joaquin. He is a professor, associate professor at the Universidad. Let me quickly look. Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. I hope I pronounced this right. And you've been involved with FIWARE like right really from the start. And so I would like to hand over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Vera, for the presentation. I will give an introduction about the session that we are going to have about AM and ML. As you mentioned, okay. A second. Okay, so the idea here is all these techniques that you are hearing about AM and ML, how really you can put it to work with FIWARE in a way that is fully integrated with data engineering tools and techniques to make it something repeatable. As you had heard, these kind of techniques are appearing in all the previous places. Digital twins rely on this, robotics rely on this, and a lot of things are quite related to these new techniques that take data and really put it to work, getting more and more information about all these things, especially the FIWARE platform is very well designed for this kind of analysis. And here we can get a lot of data, both in batch and in real time, both for training and later for using these different models to do different kind of predictions that we can have over all these kind of things. We must be aware that the data pyramid is something where from all this data, we need this kind of algorithms to get us some kind of wisdom. This is something that sometimes is forget about, and we need really to be sure that the things that we are doing with ML really give us the insights and the things that we are looking for. Unfortunately, there are something that is wonderful like ChatGPT that you can see now, but probably you are also aware that ChatGPT is a very good liar. I mean, it lies to you when he doesn't know anything, he invented. So this is something that we should avoid here. We cannot use this kind of ultra advanced new technologies, even we can help and rely on this for helping us in some things, but we must be sure that the things that we are doing inside ML and AI really help us to know much better the problem that we are handling and really offer all this kind of wisdom that is really what we want to know. Most of the solutions right now are centered in obtaining knowledge, and the most complex part is this one. For this one, we need really to be able to produce here a lot of different models, train, and do it in a repeatable way. This means that we need a lot of set of tools that are able to do different kind of analysis, but with a very focus on what results we really want to do. If we really want to optimize, in the case of the robotics, sun machine, in the case of digital twins, to really optimize a city or whatever is the digital twins we want to have there. And this is the most complex part that are appearing here. Up to now, we have been centered in producing the tools that are able to handle information and knowledge, and we are now starting to move there. In order to move to this part of the pyramid, we need to have more advanced tools that, well, uses the one that we have before, but in a more intelligent way, and also in a repeatable way that is able to be automatized and even perhaps being controlled by other ML or not meta IA systems that are able to train different models and even select them in automatic way. So our vision here is try to define and have really the right infrastructure to be able to build these kind of solutions, build them in a way that we are able to check that these solutions are working properly. As I said, it's one of the hot topics right now to really be sure that ML is really doing what you want. As you know, some results are very spectacular, but when there is something that you are not fully sure about the field, you can have some doubts and have some problem on this. We need to do all this to enable the things that we heard before. We should be able to connect to data spaces and build solutions that connects to them and build new layers upon them that help us to make really use of this data that is in the data spaces. We need to help to put the data in these digital twins. We need data in this robotics to work properly. And we need to support really the all life cycle that we are able to repeat it in as I say, in a software engineering way. And we have repeatable results that we can produce and give us these two different marketplaces where this can be used like a plugin, where you can put the services that predict whatever is the problem that we have in a sound and repeatable way. And people that rely on these kind of things can be really sure that the things are done really properly. So let's say that we want to produce this last layer, the wisdom, offer them to final users or application users that uses in another field, but they must be able to do it, as I said, in a very solid and repeatable way. The problem with all these tools, as you can see here, you cannot see anything. This is exactly what I wanted to achieve. We have now a huge amount of tools, each of them doing different things, and we want to select the ones that are more useful for our ecosystem and the people that we have here. So right now we have been producing a different solution that connects some parts of this nightmare of applications and services around data and machine learning and AI. And really, we want to produce them in a way that people should not care about too much about these tools, but to care about the solutions and to care about where their problem is. This has been achieved during this kind of life cycle where we have all these problems. Right now, the use of different way of understanding this could be done. Well, there are different modes of it. This is one that is called CrisML, but there are others. This is called MLOps also, or IOPS, depending on where you are talking about. Here we have first a data engineer that is taking care of learning and understanding the data. For that, FIWARE is very good, and you can really have a lot of data and try to learn from it. But once you have already learning and want to build something, you have to go, let's say, to the data engineer path and begin to train the models. As I said, the models should not be trained just one time, but you must be able to evaluate if the model is the right one, and in an automatic way, the same that in the DevOps, in the field of web services, you must be able to release in an automatic way, put it in work, and later check if this is already the one you are doing, and you want to change and doing this kind of for the infinite loop, but also this kind of loop a lot of times. Right now, we are able to do it 1 or 2 times this, and we are moving to tools that are able to do a lot of times this kind of tools till you got really tuned the ML models in a perfect way. That is the one that you want to produce and you want to achieve with this kind of things. Here is where we are working. This is what we are going to present in part, and this is something that really will implement on these kind of things. And even being able to build tools that control this kind of cycle, and under ML models, meta AML models are able to train this. This is what is called auto ML, and this will be enabled once we are able to automatize this, and we are in this line of work. Right now, we have several solutions. This is right now being in discussion in the ML group. This is the last one, but probably we evolve it. And here we will have a lot of tools that would automatize this kind of connecting pipes that are able to do all this job and do it as much automatically as possible, because in our case, as we are getting the information from the FIWARE universe, we are able to understand the data automatically because it's in the NGSI format, and this means that a lot of things that later have to be done by hand here can be done automatically, and we can use several and different environments where we can try to produce all these things. So we are now producing a document that we will try to get this. Probably we got it for the summit. We are working on the integration of all these tools that we are talking about. There is a lot of them and dependence, and we want to have this. Of course, we are not mentioned, but the data is fully controlled about who access, and the security of all these kind of things is all along the process. And also we are connecting to different marketplaces, like Juanjo said, and this we need also to connect when the different connectors for data spaces are provided should be automatized to produce there. So right now we are working on connection with different approaches data table to do the orchestration on this. There are a lot of tools right now being considered and being connected. We want to automatize this and to deploy automatically on different cloud infrastructure. These tools we are trying to produce and that will be presented are going to be evolved in a way that non-experts on AI, but experts on the field that we are having can use both for training and production. This means that not only experts in ML can produce and work with these tools, but people who really know the problem that we are trying to achieve wisdom can help and work on this. Automatically plug and play over data spaces, full control of privacy and data usage. That is also an open problem in the universe of ChatGPT and these kind of things. This will achieve the first step, AutoML. AutoML is that the selection of the models and the parameters, hyperparameters are done in an automatic way. And also the first lines on ethics and explainable AI. The previous systems produce a black box where you don't know exactly what is happening inside. This is not acceptable for some scenarios, and we are moving to have the first solutions on responsible machine learning solutions. That is an open problem, and probably you will hear a lot of this in the next future about all these kind of things. So right now in the session, we have first an introduction on how to achieve this ML of vision, and how to deliver these ML solutions as much automatic as possible with all this orchestration and this kind of things. Will be Benoit and myself. We have a presentation on how to produce these ML things in in the edge where you don't have too much computing power. That will be addressed also for UPM. And also, Miguel will tell us about how to establish data flow with machine learning and deep learning. That is one technique that is quite on fashion now about all these things. Also, we will have a first introduction in display enable and trusted IA and ML that will come from FIWARE could do these introductions. And we are considering an open talk about how to use this ChatGPT and similar system in the FIWARE ecosystem. Right now, it's an open problem. We are sure that we will get some input for this. And we are sure that this could be used probably to produce code under human supervision for these kind of things using ChatGPT and similar Copilot and similar systems in this kind of ecosystem. This introduces a lot of problems and a lot of unknown things in the future, and here we want to have an open talk with the people that probably is also like all we are learning how this kind of system are impacting in our way of life. So as you see, we will see how to produce and to have new system based on ML in the most simple way about FIWARE in different fields and trending on the lines that are appearing and see what the future can bring on all these kind of things. So thank you very much. This is the introduction for this session, and I give back the floor to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was very interesting, and now we just heard so much about this track where we have all these interesting topics from digital twins, data spaces, robotics, AI, and I would like to welcome now my colleague Karen, because we also want to give you a little overview on what other topics we're dealing with in our program. Maybe Karen? Are you with
Yes,
us?
thank you, Vera. Yes, I'm going to share the FIWARE Global Summit website. So, well, as all the speakers said, the countdown to the FIWARE Global Summit has begun, and we cordially invite you to visit our summit website after this webinar, the one that I'm sharing with you, to discover in detail all the new updated information we are adding. As you can see, we divided the agenda in the 2 days of the summit. The Monday session will commence at 11 in the morning with a general assembly, followed by a lunch break and the grand opening. And at 4 p.m., we will commence with different sessions encompassing smart cities and smart mobility presentations, a slot for disruptive trends and tech, another for FIWARE scientific advisory board, hands-on use cases and references, and the FIWARE accelerators. The day will culminate with the Royal Fee dinner. It's dinner after a full day of world-class innovation, and we want to continue with you in an amazing space for this reason. If you haven't booked your tickets yet, we encourage you to do it. Just entering on our website, you will find the option at the bottom of the website of the web page. On the second day, I'm going to show you here. On the second day, we will hold sessions divided into different topics. First, markets and strategies, where we will find our mission support committees tracks, such as smart energy, smart water, or smart ports, among others, as you can see. Our speakers come from different companies and organizations related to each committee, related, of course, to FIWARE, and we will they will present, very interesting cases related to FIWARE technology. Secondly, we will open a slot of disruptive tech and trends, as again, as said before. The academic and funded projects will be our interested in the university roadshow and innovation projects. Data spaces
Karen, I think we cannot understand you. I first thought this was just my problem, but I'm afraid that we didn't hear what you just said. Could you please repeat that? I'm very sorry. I think we have some technical problems. So, well, we will put the program very soon online. Then you can also have a look at it. And as you see, we will talk about different topics. We have different sessions, and well, if you come to the summit, it's for you to learn from others from your area of business. It's also to connect with others, and of course to be visible. And therefore, I would like to ask my colleague Rosema to join us, because being visible, the best way is to be a sponsor, because then your logo will be visible everywhere on the event. So welcome, Rosema.
Hi, thank you so much, Vera. I hope you guys can see my screen or no?
Not yet.
Okay. Now is it visible?
I don't see anything.
Not
Sorry.
yet for me.
No, no.
Coming.
Could you
No.
hear me?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
now we can hear you also,
Um,
Karen. We already moved to Rosema.
oh,
I'm
sorry.
trying.
Um,
And Rosema, I can now see the website.
I'm trying to share, but
Yes, now we can see it. You're on the second slide of the summit sponsorship opportunities.
okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Rosema here, and maybe this is the last time you guys gonna hear from me about sponsorship package, because we are closing this week, as you all know. But we still have some time, and whoever wants to book again with us, we are still open until 28th of April. And I would like to thank you for those who have already booked with us. I'm very glad to have you with us, and we are announcing at our social media sites and everywhere else. And for those who are still waiting, by the end of this week, we have our deadline for sponsorship and exhibition. So we are still in time, and I'm taking applications even now. And as you all know, we have 3 packages, and one space in Keystone is still available, and Super and Core sponsorships are available. And for exhibition also, think you can see one wall at Mozart packages I can still offer, and on the other side Beethoven and Haydn packages are still available. So whoever is thinking or planning to be with us at our summit, I would like to request that don't be late. We have still 3 to 4 days, and book with us and get the maximum visibility and opportunity to network with your peers and the community. And we are waiting for us. Thank you for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosema. So hurry, grab a sponsorship, and be
Yes, we
visible
are
at
in
the
time, I
summit.
guess. Yes.
So I would like to ask our presenters if you would send us the slides that you were sharing, because I think some people would like to reread everything and maybe prepare a bit on the topics that will be at the summit. So if you could share them with us, we'll put them on slide share so everyone can have a look at them again after this call. Yeah, well, right now, all I can say is thank you for joining, and I'm really looking forward to meet you in person at the summit in beautiful Vienna. And well, enjoy your lunch break.